Hello, my convict catchers. Signed a cup convict guys and gals and of gameplay. So yes, we're going to do Rebirth and see what. So today, I kind of wanted to come back and a Call of Duty game because yesterday during the live stream, I was having some extremely weird problems with packet bursts. Now, generally, I can fix them or generally I can reduce them down to a minimum. But sometimes I don't know. It's just kind of weird. I don't know if it's because it's related to me streaming it or what it is, but I generally do have a better time of playing the game when I'm not streaming as such, or doing recordings, or vice versa. Or I'll find out and I'll hard reset my modem router, which is holding in a reset button, resetting everything, then reconfiguring everything. I generally can actually fix a lot of problems and issues I sometimes have on here. So I do recommend every month maybe giving your modem router a really good hard reset, or if you are streaming, maybe give it a good hard reset before you stream. Reconfigure it. Obviously, do it early so you're not doing it last minute, which I'll probably end up doing last minute. But yeah, I wanted to kind of come in and just have a look and just show you how much better I can do when obviously I'm playing here on a recording with no issue in terms of how many kills I can get and so on and so forth. Now, hopefully, there isn't too much of a problem today because obviously today's update day, so there's going to be some issues. But kind of wanted to jump in and give my better version a go today. So here we go. Right, one thing I do need to change, if I remember correctly, is my aiming sense needs to be a little bit higher. I think about there. Because obviously a lot of the people in the game on here will tend to try and slide at you rather than do the normal. I kind of really wish they would maybe somewhat slightly nerf sliding. Standard aim assist, yeah. Yeah, that's all good. Yep, we're good. So there has been some changes to weapons. There's been a big balance that's been set out for a lot of the weapons in the game. It's kind of interesting. And I've noticed that the STG has actually become a lot better. As you can see, the time to kill there is pretty quick on the STG now. It seems to be somewhat more better than obviously what it used to be before. What I also want to do, if I can, got time to do it. I wanted to change the reticle color, but apparently I can't do that. So yeah, we're going to jump in and I'll show you a little bit more of obviously what I can actually physically do in games when I'm not streaming. Hopefully in the future we can get better quality internet, so that obviously I can truly show you how much better I can do. But the only problem I've got at the moment is due to the lack of download and upload speed, or in particular for me, upload speed is my biggest offender. Right, what I'm going to do, I'm going to try and go for this gold gun off the rip. Oh, actually, no, let's not do that. Everybody else is like, I'm going there instead. I want some of that. I know what I wanted to do, but I've not gone to the right area. Right, so we've got an STG. Okay. Look at that. Are you playing or what? I was kind of confused. .com. Almost thought you was AFK. So you started firing. Appreciate the sacrifice, though. I am still using the Nacon as well, the Nacon Revolution Pro controller. The only thing I find hard with the Nacon is right thumbstick is... What are you doing? The right thumbstick is kind of hard to press in. When I'm sliding, you'll notice I kind of look to the right. They're in the air. Landed over there, okay. Got here. Well gun. I'm going to keep the Owen, because people keep saying, well, actually, no, the Owen got nerfed, didn't it? Let's use the other gun. But yeah, pressing the right thumbstick is kind of hard to press in. Yeah, camping up here. This is the gun I wanted. This gun's really, really good. It's like a loadout gun. I thought I heard someone. Oh, don't throw that away. That one brought STG. I'm definitely sure I heard someone. If anything, you'll be upstairs. Okay, there's one on top of bio. There's a couple inside there as well. Oh, this is where I thought the other guy was, but apparently he's not here. Kind of want to go over to bio, but I've got to be really careful here. I'm going to go up this side to block off that side. Okay. There's my G here. For him. That's him out of the way. Get him out of the way. Whacked him. Ignite paddy whacked him. Give that dog a bone. There we go. As you can see, I'm getting 0 packet burst. So weird. But please just let me have my gun. Forever. I'm confused. Come. Okay. I don't know how I didn't kill. Oh. Thank you. I'm so lucky. Thank you, friend, for sniping the other guy. I appreciate you. I appreciate you killing him for me. Thank you. Take your heartbeat sensor. You know what I mean though, when you float, you kind of like drift out and then drift back in. So annoying. Absolutely hate it. Awkward spot here. Tickle him. Tickle him. Yep, one.
Enemy soldier nearby.
Right. You had to have one of them, didn't you?
Gas is inbound. Marking new safe zone.
Thank you. Hi. Nice to meet you too. Per carbine and what did they have? The fluid dynamics. I'm not good with snipers. I really want to push myself sometimes to use snipers,
Insurgents will be gone soon.
but I just think I would be wasting my time trying.
Prices are back to normal.
There's a guy here. What are you doing? Big game bounty, I'll have one of them.
To eliminate the bounty target.
Sneak on him.
Losing ground. Move it.
To 8.4 meters, there's a guy over here.
Enemy UAV active.
He could be above me. I don't know. It's gone.
Make your actions count.
This
Got gas inbound.
this part, fortunately, you do have to play extremely ratty because of the way that the other people play.
Top 10. Nice job.
I wanted to kind of fake him out, thinking I'd moved. But yeah, the STG, I definitely believe that they've buffed this in a good spot. Actually is now usable. I actually thought that was a person then for like 2 seconds.
Contract time expired. The target's been lost. Gas is moving.
Sorry, buddy, but no.
Enemy UAV active.
Right, so there's one here and one here.
5
Okay, so they've all got to push to me. One down. Okay, 8.8 meters, so he's off in front.
Gas is inbound.
And there we go. So, as you can see,
Smash.
I can actually do pretty damn well when I want to. Oh dear. Oh my god. There we go. I really wanted to show this because it's so frustrating when you play the game and you kind of like, I know I can do better, but it's just purely, it's so difficult in a lot of situations because of connection. And this is really why I want to be able to get a better connection. But that obviously I can show you how well I can actually do. Crazy. There you go, 13 kills. 13 kills in a game. Woo! There you go, that's how you do it. So I'm just going to quickly show you before you leave, so don't leave just yet. I'm just going to show you some of the settings and what I've done here in order to kind of emphasize or to help with footsteps in game. One thing I've noticed quite hard is when the game audio sound is ramped up to 100, it's so difficult to hear anything because all you hear is boom, 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 boom. That is kind of difficult, or you get the announcer kind of talking in your ear, dropping in here, yo, and then someone crouch walks up to you and shoots you, and you're like, ugh. I couldn't hear because it was too busy going close to strike and all this rubbish, and it's so annoying when it happens. So here's what you can do. Number one, I'll show you this one first, is if you have an application like I do, which this is the B Pro or any headset that's from Logitech, you get the option here to be able to do what's called advanced EQ. SteelSeries also has this option as well. Now, you could probably tweak it a bit further and actually make it a lot better. But as you can see, I've got Warzone here. And all I've basically done is put all the sliders to max. So if you've got an EQ device, put it all to max. Whether it's like SteelSeries, whether it's Logitech, whether it's the other ones, I can't remember the other pro ones that people use. I forgot what you call it. Got out of my head. Anything that basically uses an app or uses something like this where you can turn up the frequencies. You want to turn them up to max. What I've done here. So once I've done that and I've turned it up to max, and the volume music you see is up to 100 as well, so everything I can hear. Then there's another thing you can do. Obviously, if you've got the option or you've got a Logitech headset, I always recommend doing this using something called DTS Sound Unbound, because DTS Sound Unbound is a really awesome 3D audio engine software that will basically help you to be able to detect where people are coming from, you'll be able to hear them, and get a lot more information than normal. Now, obviously, you can still miss out on things because it's up to the developers on their end or during latency and stuff like that. That this can happen. Also, if you want to check out these as well, the GPU time and CPU time, they can have a factor as well. As you can see right now, my GPU time is at 7 milliseconds. My CPU time is at 33 milliseconds, which is horrendously bad. The higher the number, the badder it is, because it means the latency of what your GPU and CPU doing, or what basically what's happening on the screen, is highly affected by those two numbers, and I'll actually show you that. If I just quickly move this out the way 2 moments. If you go into your options screen here, and I click in the game, and you go to interface, if you go to the very bottom here, and go to 2, which is called graphics processing unit GPU time, and graphics processing CPU time, if you read the description, it says it shows the amount of time in milliseconds needed by your GPU to process each frame. And this can help you know whether your performances are limited by GPU and CPU, which you can obviously tell by mine, I'm limited by CPU because I'm on a Ryzen 5 2600, which is okay, but I really should have waited that a little bit longer and got the 950X, I think is the max you can have on a B450-F board. Not 100% sure if that is, or if I would have to upgrade the motherboard as well to a B550. But these two basically are the time in which it takes to process each frame. You've got really, really high numbers here, like the CPU, you can see the 33 milliseconds. That's basically the latency from you moving your thumbstick to going to your screen, going to your PC, to going to, or going from like controller to the PC to your monitor. Then obviously that sends out in the internet and all that stuff. So the GPU and CPU times are really important that you try and keep them as low as you possibly can. As you'll notice if you go back in the recording, my GPU and CPU times were around about 6-7 milliseconds, which is, as you can see, my GPU is nailing it easy because it's got really low milliseconds here. So I've got no problems or issues with the GPU. It's just the CPU. But even though I'm on the 2600, if you're watching the game, the CPU time is good. But that's because I have all my graphics turned down. If you go here, I'll show you and quickly run you through the graphics here. I've got it full screen borderless. I recommend if you're not doing streaming or you're not in the habit of having to tab out of your game, have this to full screen because full screen gives you better input latency. So when you're obviously moving your head in the game and shooting and stuff and things like that, that helps with the latency. Obviously, choose the monitor you're using. I'm using the EX20710 for BenQ. We salute you, BenQ. The NVIDIA 3060 Ti, as you can see. My refresh rate is the same value as what my monitor is. This monitor from BenQ is 144 on PC. Render resolution, you want to have this at 100. It starts off at 175. You want to reduce this to 100. You can choose, obviously, other resolutions as well if you wish to do so, but I keep mine to the native. This native monitor is 1920 by 1080. Dynamic resolution disabled. That means that won't come into effect underneath. Aspect ratio wants to be automatic. You want to sync every frame VSync. You want that to be turned off, disabled. It will affect obviously FPS and stuff and things like that. But what it basically does is it will basically limit your frame rate, your monitor's refresh rate, and it prevents screen tearing issues, but causes some input lag. So if you're getting a lot of screen tearing, as you can see what it looks like on the left there, this is what it looks like. I've just gone off it now. This is, where's it gone? This is what it looks like if you've got screen tearing. You've got like a line and you can see everything doesn't match, and that's when it doesn't. But it will affect input as well on there. So if you're having screen tearing issues, you could try it, but just be aware that's obviously it will damage your latency. Custom frame rate, I definitely recommend you doing this. Custom frame rates are really, really important to making sure your computer's not overdoing it. Because as you can see here, my in-game have allowed it to have unlimited cap. I'll never get 100. I'll never get 300 frame rate. That's just impossible. I will, however, limit my menu and autofocus frame rates to 30, so that my GPU is not going wild while it's in the menu screens. Because I don't know why, but a lot of developers just don't optimize their menu screens properly. So you tend to get these issues, but I'm glad that obviously they've added a custom frame rate so you can limit it yourself. This is an issue that can obviously send your GPU into extremely high temperatures because obviously it's trying to render all these menus and stuff that are extremely high quality. Then you can obviously choose on here, the last one is the NVIDIA Reflex low latency. Now, I want to talk a little bit about this briefly. This one's really important that you optimize and use it the correct way. Now, again, like I said, with CPU and GPU bound, obviously you want to choose which one's best for you in terms of which one's the worst. Now, if you look up here, you can actually see the differences of what it can do. If you have it enabled, now this can help optimize the system latency. Now, what I would say is enabled is more if you are CPU bound, and if you're no, as enabled is if it's GP if you're GPU bound, you want to have enabled. If it's CPU bound, you want to have enabled plus boost. Yeah, that's correct. So enabled, that is GPU bound. Enable plus boost is CPU bound, is how people have explained it. Now, I've obviously done some testing, and as you can see, mine's on enabled. So mine's on same my CPU. So even though my CPU is CPU bound, I've still used it. I could probably try it on enabled and boost and see if that makes any difference. But I try to reserve as much GPU as possible. So that obviously when I'm playing games, depending on obviously the game itself, like this game I think heavily leans on CPUs. But I've not had any issues, and you'll notice obviously my GPU and CPU times stay pretty nice. Anyway, I'm waffling on. So moving on to next, you can see I've got 105 field of view. You don't need to have 120. You don't need to go crazy. 120 will make you feel like you're moving really fast, but then when it comes to shooting people, especially at a distance, everything's going to be so much farther away. So depending if you can cope with that or not, you want to have this on as affected. No, that's not correct, is it? And yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah. I'm just looking then. I was just like, hang on, have I put that wrong? No, affected is correct because you want the aiming down sights to be closer to the field of view setting. So if you have 120 field of view, then this will only zoom in to the 120 field of view. It won't zoom like right in like as if you're on console, which is like this. It'll be more like this. That's if it's enabled, that's if it's off. As you can see, you see more there than you would do here, like as if you're on console. Camera movement always obviously on low. Now these are something I definitely like changes that I've done here. Having streaming quality is normal. Now a lot of people keep saying to turn this off because it will basically stop you from getting packet burst. It doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't make a difference because if you see from yesterday, I was still getting packet burst regardless, and this was on normal as it was before. I've had it on off before, and it's made no difference. Texture resolution. I can't talk. I've got it as a very low because I'm not really bothered about textures. Anisotropic, I've got this on high. This is just so that if you're seeing like floor surfaces and stuff, it looks a bit more. As you can see, everything looks a bit blurry. Makes it look a bit more clearer. You want particle on low. You want these all disabled, which is bullet, tessellation, dismemberment, and on-demand texture streaming, which will obviously be streaming textures as you're playing, and you don't want that to happen. I think people get confused with that with obviously the top one. Filmic strength 0, film grain 0. Obviously, these will affect the look of your game. Now, to be honest, if you're going to have filmic strength on, you want to have this on if you don't have anti-aliasing on. Don't have anti-aliasing on, you have this off, you may want to turn the filmic strength up to 100 on there. But I've got it off because I've got mine on SMA A2TX. Depth of field disabled, motion blur disabled, weapon blur disabled. Obviously you don't want no blur. You don't want this blur. You don't want this blur when moving. Very annoying. Can't shoot people if you can't see them. Low for map for the resolution. Now these I definitely recommend having on as enabled. It will speed up rendering of future frames. So you definitely want to have these on. Low for particle. Direct ray tracing obviously you want off. This is more like if you're playing campaign for 100%. Ambient occlusion. You can choose to have this on or off if you wish. This option can be applied on dynamic objects, characters, vehicles, etc., static objects, buildings, windows, rockets, etc., or both. So, yeah, you choose if you want now. This is more like a preference thing. and screen space reflections, you want to have this off. Well, there's no point of having this. Is more like kind of doing the same thing as DirectX ray tracing sort of idea, and that's it. That's all I do on there, and it's as easy as that, and it helps. Like I said, I'm only on a 2600. When I'm in game, obviously CPU times are a hell of a lot better, and it will show here. Now, another thing you really want to be doing here is going to audio, and you want boost low. Now you can see, because I've got these audios, like I was saying before, the audio's on max here. You definitely want to then be looking at this, because you can actually turn this down. I've got my master audio on 6, and what this basically does now is the announcer's voice calling in airstrikes, hearing like the fire sale explosion rubbish banner and all that crap. It makes it super quiet. It makes everything super quiet. When you're flying in with parachute, everything feels a lot quieter. But when it comes to playing in the game, you can actually hear footsteps so easily and so much better when you do this. I definitely recommend it. But like I said before, now you don't need DTS for this in specific, and it should still work the same, but turn up all of your EQs, okay? And then when you do, make sure all your volume on your headset is up to max, and then put your master volume down as low as quiet as you can, so you can still hear the game, but it's quieter. It's at a nice pace. You could try it at 6 if you feel like it's too quiet and you can't hear, everything's too quiet. Then turn it up just a little bit and see how you go. Dialogue volume, obviously, I have low on anyway for the announcer because I don't like to hear them. I like to hear him a little bit, but if he's talking, then obviously I know it's either going to be something coming in or someone's landing. Effects volume 100%. You definitely want it at 100 because this will help you hear. And I could hear footsteps really, really well, even though obviously I've got DTS on as well. But I recommend without DTS, I could have heard them pretty well as well. In-marker sounds, obviously Modern Warfare or whichever you want to choose. I have sometimes tried this with no in-marker sounds. Just again, it's another audio sound that I don't really need to play. So if I can obviously decrease any, the amount of audios I'm having to listen to, and obviously choose your headset, which is, you can see mine's the Logitech Pro X gaming headset. Mute when unfocused, I've got this disabled. Mute everyone except for party. Obviously, if you want to talk, don't want to talk to people, I was playing. These, obviously, again, pick your headset. Obviously, a no-brainer is turn down the threshold of your teammates, because sometimes teammates talk so loud, you can't hear anything, and it's really annoying when they're talking in the background. You just can't hear them. Also, just quickly show you my controller setup here as well. So you can see I've got tactical, sorry, for the button layout. Default for the other one. And you can see I've got left and right dead zones are at 4. This is something you need to kind of play test. Go into the game, if you move your right stick a little bit and you start drifting and you start doing this and you start going off to the side like I'm doing with my mouse here, then you want to turn this up. If you're moving and you feel like you're walking and stepping like this and you're actually stepping forward, obviously that's the left one. If it's aiming and you start drifting, you want to do the right one until it's like this and it doesn't move at all. Then what you want to do, obviously leave these, some people put these down to 90, but I leave them at 100. Horizontal and vertical, as you can see here, I've got as 5. That's what I played today. Now this is an interesting one. This is something else I wanted to talk about, the ADS multiplier. I definitely recommend you turning these down as really, really low and kind of getting a feel for it. Now you do kind of need to keep turning it up a little bit for those who keep sliding, because if you don't, then you're going to get a problem where when they slide, it's going to make it difficult for you to be able to keep track on them because of the bubble. Because I've got my aim assist as standard, the bubble is really big as well because I've had it disabled on an option will make the bubble bigger, but I'll show you that because it does actually talk about that further on down. But these are the custom zooms I've got here at the moment. So For low zoom 75, this is for iron sights. This one obviously is for the 2x or 2x magnification 75. These are the two that obviously generally I will be possibly having a close engagement with somebody. If someone comes and runs into the building and I run out of SMG ammo, I have to use my 2x. And obviously you want it to be quick enough you can track them, but not too much that you just can't control it. For these ones, I've got them all at 90 at the moment. I feel like 90 is a good spot. I would recommend probably trying these out. Now, what I've kind of done with these as well is I've done it in a way that these will give you more benefit or the highest benefit you can get from aim assist or from the aim assist slowdown that you get, where you can actually feel like the aim assist is pulling harder on your controls and it'll enable you to be on target very easily and keep on a character, especially at a distance. It's really, really good. And it works extremely well for me. I definitely recommend trying that out and playtesting each one. But I definitely recommend doing the custom per zoom. Don't just do the sensitivity multiplier, just do per zoom, and it really does make a difference. Aim response curve, I like linear. People keep saying use dynamic, use dynamic. I really don't like it. I don't like it. It's kind of dynamic, basically, is like the alternative of the ramping up speed of when you start to turn or when you start to go into acceleration. Linear completely eliminates acceleration, so you've got one flat curve. It's no different. So no matter how much you put your thumbstick over to the right or left, you get the same flat curve and it doesn't change. When using dynamic, it goes from, I think it goes from um, quick at the beginning to slow, and then normal standard, it goes from slow to then quick. So it starts off slow, then it ramps up faster, and dynamic does the all opposite of that. It starts off fast and it goes slower. And I don't like it. I really don't like it. So I prefer linear, to be honest. Control of vibration, obviously no brainer to turn that off. Aim assist, you want to have a standard. Now this is the one I was talking about, the scale aim assist field of view that I was talking about before, and saying why obviously I turn them down and you can get better benefit from the aim assist. Now this is the aim assist bubble, they call it. And if you have this obviously enabled, the aim assist region doesn't scale according to the field of view. If you have it disabled, then it will. So, one is it? Sorry, let me have a look. Aim assist doesn't scale according to field of view if you have it disabled, and then enabled, it rescales according to field of view on here. So I have it disabled because disabled is this one, enabled is this one. So what it's basically saying is because you're doing your field of view and you maybe put it 105 and then you've got custom your custom field of view, then that will affect these two. If you've got it enabled, it's going to be tiny like this. So someone who's way off the distance, but like 120 field of view, this is going to be tiny, absolutely tiny. If you put it on disabled, it will always stay like this. So you won't end up with a really tiny box for someone who's miles away. You'll end up with this one instead, which will help you guide you and keep you nicely tracked on target within this bubble. Because all these bubbles do is they decrease the multiplier of your aim that you've chosen. So whatever you've chosen up here for zooms, this basically will affect the multiplier when it hits it. It decreases the multiplier when it hits this, so that you're able to move slower. So you might be quick out here, and as soon as you touch this, it's nice and smooth and easier to obviously move around this. It's not going to go and snap you to target like this. All it's going to do is keep your aim slow, or your multiplier slower, your aim within this area. Obviously, I like double tap ADS move, break out of movement. So this basically means that if you have it enabled, you can pull away from a wall. So if you stick to a wall, you double tap and you hug a wall like he's doing here. I have this enabled, so if I use my left stick and make a movement to the right here, I would break away from this wall. If you don't let go. You'd have to basically unaim, re-aim to let go of the wall, and you really don't want to be stuck in a situation where you're like, oh my god, I'm stuck to the wall. Obviously, hold for aim down sight, toggle for the steady aim. I like toggle because you just press it once and then it does it for the duration until you go and breathe in. Equipment hold, obviously. You can toggle it so you can have it in your hand and then just throw it. I actually think toggle might actually be pretty interesting to use at times. If you can run around with a flashbang in your hand and then just throw it, and it's already in your hand, just throw it when you need to throw it. That's kind of interesting. So I may end up changing that just to kind of try it out. Contextual tap, obviously, this is really important to have on as contextual because it means that you'll aim and reload at the same time, but it will prioritize your aiming and it will prioritize your picking up, sorry, and if you're standing over something, you'll have to hold square, basically reload, but generally you can just tap unless you're standing over some and you reload or you want to pick something up. If you want to pick something up, fine, just tap. If you want to reload and you're standing over a gun, then you'd have to hold to do it for that specific scenario. But if you're not near anything, then tapping for both will pick up or reload. Deplete ammo weapon swap. I like this disabled because I don't want to be in a situation where I am out in the open or I'm in a situation where I don't want a weapon swap and then it runs out of bullets and then a weapon swap for no reason, then it's just going to get you killed. Sometimes it probably can save your life, but a lot of the times it can get in the way as well. Armor plate, apply all. This means that basically you put every plate on that you've got in your inventory until you're fully kitted. I kind of like this because you want to be running around and keeping your movement going. So holding triangle for a second and then running around while someone's chasing you and you're constantly plating without having to hold triangle. If literally, if you turn this off, you'd have to hold triangle until all 3 plates are done. You don't want that. Tap to slide, obviously no brainer. If you put hold, it's going to make it harder. Tapping is just so much easier to be able to do tack sprint. Auto move forward disabled, single tap from sprint. Now I'm still not 100% sure on this one because I'm still like half and half to whether or not I should have it on one or the other. So what this basically does, you can double tap to initiate tactical sprint if you're on default. If you go to the single tap from sprint, then you single tap to tactical sprint while sprinting. If you're sprinting, which I've got down as auto, I've got mine down as auto run anyway. Mine's auto running, so it's always running. So I just have to tap it to tack sprint, and then you've got single tap from run. Single tap to tactical sprint while running. I'm not too sure which one it's supposed to be. Is it supposed to be single tap to tactical sprint while sprinting? Or does it need to be single tap to tactical sprint while running? I don't know. So confusing. At the moment, I've got it single tap for sprint. But like I said, I've got this down as automatic running anyway and automatic tack sprint. So I'm already automatically tack sprinting everywhere. I'm just not sure which one this should be on. Video camera recenter disabled because I don't want it to recenter my camera back to the center. And then parachute auto deploy obviously disabled so I can get closer to the floor and then hopefully not get packet burst and go on the floor, which I've done plenty of times. But yeah, that's it. Anyway, so I do apologize. This took a little bit longer, but I kind of wanted to do the settings as well and kind of give you an idea of all the bits and pieces that are in here. And I definitely recommend for the audio doing like I said, and that will help and just put on boost low and then master volume. Like I said, have as low as you possibly can. Dialogue volume 25, and if you think that's too quiet, turn it up a bit. Effects volume obviously 100, and away you go. Anyway, if you enjoyed, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. I do appreciate for all those that stuck around for the end here. Salute you, and I'll see you in another gameplay. Appreciate it. Cheers. And yeah, we'll be back to live streaming again tomorrow. Love you lots. And bye for now.